and welcome to another episode of Hatchet Men, bringing the classy back to horror. I'm joined today by a couple of my FSR cohorts on our rather long lunch, and we are going to be discussing another horror topic. On my right is the intrepid Luke Mullen, complete with his beard, and on my left is the always super classy Adam Charles. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Also with Luke's beard.
Also with Luke's beard.
I don't know, Adam looks super classy.
Adam is out.
Looks like a fancy prostitute.
I try.
He is outclassying both of us, if that's even a word.
$50.
It's good that prices are already coming into play.
Yes, put that on the screen. So today we're going to be talking about a tumultuous topic, and that is, of course, the horror remake. But instead of just throwing out the titles that we like and spending 20 minutes talking about The Fly and The Thing, we're actually going to...
The Thing is a remake?
The Thing is, in fact, a remake of The Thing from Another World. Thank you. Yes. The Killer Carrot movie is the movie they remade as The Thing. So yes, but instead of talking about those things we were just talking about, we're going to approach this from a different angle. We're going to talk about some of the mechanics that make a good remake versus a bad one. Adam, what do you think? What makes a good remake? What's something you have to do in order to make a good remake?
Talent.
Good.
Yep.
Always
Usually important to make any film, I would think.
I mean, I think
it's helpful.
I think actually, if you look at at least the majority of the horror remakes, or the majority of the good horror, the ones you can associate as being good, I guess it's just downright good. Like Fly, The Thing, more recently even Let Me In, which I think is actually a pretty great remake. Or honestly, I was actually going to ask you whether or not you even where you draw the line between something actually being a remake and something being a readaptation of something just from a source from another book.
I would definitely call Let Me In an adaptation. And in fact, it's funny, we always mention The Thing, but the Thing is as much a remake of The Thing from Another World as Let Me In is a remake of Let the Right One In.
Right. Yeah, it's really going back to the source material and finding out what worked about that and kind of putting your own spin on it. And I like what Matt Reeves did with Let Me In. I mean, obviously it has some problems that I think the CGI was a bit of a misstep, and I love the subtlety of the original. But Matt Reeves clearly loves the source material, and I think that's probably maybe the most important thing is just having respect for what you're remaking.
Right. I think I guess I don't know about mechanically speaking, but I guess it's finding the.
We can talk about Charles Bronson.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Or Jason.
Or Jason Statham.
Either way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess he adds a little bit of that. It's also, I guess, it's acknowledging what it is you like about it. What it is you like at least about the original or about the source, or finding what clicked with audiences at the time. Mm-hmm. Either retaining that and then sort of adding your own little twist or your own little unique spin to other aspects that don't stand out as much. That don't make it. I guess that make it seem your own, but not so far removed from the experience that you liked before.
Well, just going off of that, like one of the remakes that I really enjoy, and I know it's kind of controversial and a little split, but I really enjoyed Platinum Dunes' Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. And I think part of that is understanding that at the time, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is really not that bloody or gory at all. It's really a very subtle horror film.
Despite its title, it's
in that respect, it's very reserved, and it certainly doesn't lose any frightening aspects or any terror. It was still a frightening film to watch. Especially the first time you saw it. But I like that when they went to update it, they recognized that there's been 20, 30 years of horror in between now and then, and frankly gore and blood are kind of the mainstay now, and if you shy away from that completely, not that that's not a bad thing, you can shy away from the blood and gore and do a great film, but I like the fact that they were willing to change some things that didn't, in my mind at least, take anything away from what the original had to do.
And I definitely think when you're setting out to remake a film, especially if it's something, you have to acknowledge and judge the canon of the original, and not only that, but the quality of the original. I think that there are some movies that you know, we harbor this kind of admiration for the original, and when a remake comes out, because, and especially with horror fans, and I don't mean this as a slight. In fact, it's a positive. We get really defensive about remakes, like probably more so than fans of any other genre, and it's specifically because we love these movies so much and we don't want to see them tarnished. But I think what you have to do, both when creating a remake and both when judging a remake, is try to decide if the original has room for improvement, and try to kind of take the rose-colored glasses off and think about, you know, if somebody's remaking it, one, it's not always because there's more money to be made. I mean, a lot of these movies just don't, like, with a massive commercial audience are not they're not clamoring for these remakes, so they're really making these movies for guys like us. So the success or failure of that, I think part of that is going to be how well they judge the original. Like, for example, the Friday the 13th remake Platinum Dunes did. Friday the 13th is a great horror film-ish.
We weren't doing anything, we were just messing around.
Friday the 13th. You may only see it once, but that will be enough. Friday the 13th.
Like, there are definite problems with the original Friday the 13th. So
what? No. It is perfect.
It's not perfect.
It is perfect the way it is.
It's not great-ish. It's film-ish.
It's filmish. So when they did the remake,
it's almost that.
I think it's important to acknowledge that, because it's like, you know what? There is another side of that story to be told. There is another way to approach it, because frankly, it's not perfect. Now, that being said, if you're gonna remake something like, now Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead. There's still another angle you could approach that from, but that movie in and of itself is a little bit more solid, I think, than the original Friday the 13th. And the other thing is, they're not remaking The Thing, but they're making like a follow-up movie to The Thing, and I think the reason for that is because they know that The Thing is so fucking perfect that if they tried to remake it at this point, it would just be an effort in futility. So instead, they're telling the Norwegian story, because it's like, oh, we don't want to touch what Carpenter did. We're gonna just tell a different story.
I would love to believe that was the reasoning behind it. I'm afraid at this point I'm just a little too cynical.
I don't think it has anything to do with it.
I honestly think we just dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
Completely randomly, because the suits in Hollywood ran the numbers and they're like, the Norwegian story, I believe, will give us more box office returns.
Honestly, no.
I know, right?
Honestly, no.
This is also why we're getting fucking the alien space jockey in Prometheus.
Okay, that's a good point, because fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Fuck that.
Yeah, I like the mystery. I like the air of mystery. Sometimes you should leave it alone.
There's no reason to know who the space jockey is or where he came from.
That's part of the greatness of the movie, is that you don't know and you fill in your own mind. Like, holy shit, what is this backstory, you know? In this sea of fucking alien eggs, which is just an amazing scene.
That's actually an interesting perspective, especially talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because, a lot of the original is, even though it's not very gory, there were gory films being made around that time. They weren't, I guess, they weren't Hollywood pictures. I guess neither was Texas Chainsaw Massacre either. But,
no, definitely.
But I mean, there were gory films being made. That one was not, and I think a lot of the terror in it was the fact you didn't see a lot. So a lot was left up to your own imagination, which is usually always worse.
And they gave you plenty of clues and cues for your imagination
as to what is actually there, and
to fill in some truly awful shit in that movie.
And then they just showed the shit.
do you not like?
It's fine. I was telling Brian earlier, I'm kind of ambivalent towards the Platinum Dunes.
But no, but that's a good point. Like, if part of the appeal and the thing that works about the original is how reserved it is and how little it actually shows, and then the remake, it gets really explicit, that is kind of going against the grain and really...
Yeah, I mean, to me it doesn't... it doesn't feel like it shits on anything in the original. You know, it definitely goes off in its own direction in a couple of places, but it doesn't feel like some other remakes do, where you're like, why did you change that? Why in the name of God did you change that? Nothing in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sticks out like a sore thumb to me.
Actually, the remakes that blow my mind the most are the ones where they're titles that I can't imagine other than the fact that a script already exists and it would be very easy just to write another one based off of that, is the reason why they would choose to remake something like Sorority Row, or
I may be the one person that halfway enjoyed the Sorority Row remake.
Yeah,
Sorority Row is the one that bunks my theory because
or Prom Night, or
why did Prom Night get a remake?
See, it's titles like those that they're because there is no following for them. Nobody really gives a much of a shit.
Exactly.
Well, I can't imagine there
bank
was
on anything.
I can't imagine there was a big following for Vincent Price's House of Wax to be remade, even though it's a great
remake.
That's
true. That's a great remake. But no, actually Sorority Row is the movie that bunks my theory, because the original Sorority Row, House on Sorority Row, is absolute garbage.
A certain kind of girl joins Pi Theta sorority. A girl who likes to party and likes to get close to her friends. A girl whose extracurricular activities were more daring than most.
Don't you realize what we've done? It was an accident! It doesn't matter!
No one would ever forget the girls in the house on Sorority Row.
It is poorly shot. You have no idea what the hell's going on. The story's garbage. Like it's just terrible.
It's boring.
It's boring. Oh my god. I would rather watch paint dry on the shed in Bastrop than watch House on Sorority Row again.
No, I think I saw that. It was called Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
So,
Are there tits on that paint on the wall?
No, there's no tits on the paint on the wall.
Why are you staring at it so hard?
That's a good question. No, and then the remake comes out, and they managed to clean up the cinematography and make the story a little more cohesive, and make it completely ridiculous, and make it a lobotomized box of rocks. It's fucking stupid. Everything about that movie is stupid. I cannot abide that fucking movie, and all of the social media jokes need to go. I'm sorry, but you immediately date your movie in a way that's not fun at all, because frankly, who the fuck cares about Facebook?
I think Aaron Sorkin cares about Facebook.
That's true.
I'm just saying.
No, that's a good point. So,
50 years from now, we will have the same conversation.
We will. We will have.
Wait, about Sorority Row or The Social Network?
Both.
When the remake of the remake of
The remake
Sorority
of
Row.
the remake of The Social Network.
As a horror movie.
Yes.
I want to see
as a
that
horror
one.
film.
I want to see that one.
Yep.